waiting for you. So now because
It
we
was
have
8:30. I'm
joined.
bang on time. 8:30 exact.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
is
we're just
doc
waiting for
is
you.
Mr.
I'm
Ravi
waiting
there?
for the whole.
Ravi ji hai
Uh,
ki?
I think the Deenul is doing the live, so live over
Okay,
here.
Dino is there.
And,
All right.
yeah. So as soon as we get the signal, we'll be starting with the fish.
Okay.
We have
Says
got
that.
we can start. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. I welcome you all for Beyond Education, inspiring stories to inspire the world, being organized by IDYM Group of Companies. Beyond Education, it is a unique talk show that invites people from different backgrounds and from different professions to share their stories with the whole world. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Alka Mahajan ma'am, who is the founder and CEO of Shilpa Pro International. I welcome you, ma'am, for this show.
Thank you so much.
And before starting with the session, I would like to introduce our guest speaker. Alka ma'am, she is an academician, psychotherapist, leadership, communication, parenting, and soft skill trainer, mentor, a coach, author, and a columnist. She is editor-in-chief of Tenacity magazine, radio host, talk show host, chairperson, and host of events, both for on offline and online events at the national as well as the international level. She has moderated more than 600 conferences and seminars, that too at the national and international level. And she has received a number of awards for her work, and she is passionate about education, media, and humanitarian. So, welcome you, ma'am. So,
A big
ma'am,
thank you to you. A big thank you to you, to Mr. Ravi Shankar, to Dinul, to IDYM, Igniting Dreams of Young Minds. I just love this, the acronym. It's so wonderful because it puts one on that mode of, that you can give wings to your dreams. So, Igniting Dreams of Young Minds. Beautiful. And kudos for all the work that you are doing. Thank you.
I would just like to know something about how were you as a child and your school days? How were that?
How was I as a child? Well, I was a very naughty child, and yes, I feel very blessed to actually say this, that I had the best of both worlds because I was born in China. My father was in the foreign service, so my schooling was in different countries. So it began in the United States of America in New York. Then we went to the Philippines in Manila. Then it was in Copenhagen in Denmark. And thereafter, there were lots of places that I visited. But um, when my father was posted to Islamabad in Pakistan, that was the time when I stayed back with my grandparents for my college in Punjab, in India. So my schooling was all over the world in 4 different countries. And my college education was in Punjab. And of course, my higher professional ones were in was in Delhi only, because I got married at a very young age while I was still studying. I was doing my post graduation uh, in masters for English, and that was the time I got married. But why I say best of all these worlds was that it opened me up to being so approachable, accommodating. I had a variety of people, different friends from different countries, different cultures. It gave me so much insight that it was never a problem for me to be meeting different kinds of people. And I think that is something which is very difficult normally, because adjusting when I see, when I was teaching and I had my students tell me that, ma'am, I'm going to change my school. I said, never mind. No, ma'am, I'm so used to. That was never a problem with me. Change was never a problem with me. Change is so scary. But for me, it was a very wonderful experience. It may be a challenge because when you change your school and when you go to a different country, it's like you have to prove yourself from the beginning all over again. So no matter how good you are, nobody can rest on their past laurels. You have to sort of prove yourself again. So that's why I always say that action alone is thy province. So keep on doing what you're doing, and people will definitely notice the kind of work you do. So having studied in different countries opened up my, what do you say, my thought process. I learned a lot of things, and so many things. I mean, I think the fact that I became a multitasker was due to the fact of my being educated in different countries. Not only that, different languages is something that I'm very proud of. So I speak good Tagalog, which is the language of Philippines. I speak German. I speak a little bit of Romanish, but otherwise, um, basic running knowledge, I know of many languages. So I think that is something which came from traveling. And that is why I always encourage my students, leaders, educators whom I train that, whenever you get a chance to travel, please do travel, because you will learn so much. You will be stepping out of your comfort zones, and you will realize that where the world is going, what the world has to offer you, what you can take from the world, and what you can give to the world. Because life is not only learning, it's also sharing your learning. So, like I always say, it's about caring, it's about communicating, it's about connecting, it's about collaborating, it's about creative thinking. So, when you put all these things together, you become unique, unstoppable, and unbeatable. And that makes you tenaciously timeless. I think this is all the result of my studying in different cultures. And yes, influence of my grandparents. I can never ever thank them enough. They're in the heavens above. I get very sentimental when I talk about my grandparents, because they were the ones, I think, who are very responsible for the fact that I was always a person who not only believed in academics, but other activities beyond academics. So, like you say, beyond education. So for me, it was not only academics per se, it was a lot of theater, it was singing, it was dancing, and dancing not only Indian, but different dance forms, poetry, writing, quizzing, storytelling, all different hosting events. That is something which I was doing as a small kid, and I'm still doing till date. So it feels wonderful, for a change, to be sitting on the other side instead of taking an interview, giving an interview. So this is the unique part. But thank you so much.
Asking because as you said, and you had kept open yourself to change, right? And then because now you are the founder and CEO of Shilpasro International. So can you just tell about how you thought of making such an organization and how is it working?
Well, Dr. Anjum, it all started out with a New Age Parenting Forum, because I was in the leadership role in school. And of course, going to college as also as a faculty, a guest faculty, taking English and comparative education for a Master of Education students. But, I always thought that parents do not really understand their children because they're not listening. They're not actively listening to their children. I don't know, one day, I was just, this was way back in 2020, this idea came to my mind. And I thought to myself, I need to do something. So let me start this New Age Parenting Forum. I had no plans. I didn't even think about, Chilparko International. But once in 2021, when I really started it in a big way, from that forum, it was just a small WhatsApp group turned into little events we would do on Zoom. It became, it just sort of started expanding. I had like-minded people from the global community joining in, and we incorporated so much. And then it became a platform connecting the world through humanitarianism. So like I say, care, communicate, connect. 21st century skills we put together. And Chilparko International, I always give the credit for the name to my husband, who's a doctor. He's a pediatrician. And he was the one who suggested, why don't you give this name? And then I said, yeah, this makes sense, because from the child in me to the parent in you, and from the parent in me to the child in you. Life is an unending journey of learning, where we're not only learning, we are also sharing, because learning, sharing go together. You're empowering yourself, you're empowering others with your own uniqueness. You have a quality which is unique to you. Nobody else has that. You share that quality with others because you are timelessly tenacious. And that quality of yours, mingled with other people's uniqueness, will, I feel, this is what we encourage through the platform, will spread smiles, will connect the global community together. We will appreciate people. I mean, it's all about self-worth at the end of the day. Go where you're celebrated. Don't go where you're tolerated. Because everybody has their self-worth, their identity. They need to be living their life with their own uniqueness. And, thinking of gaslighting, playing with emotions, being intimidated by others, this is something judged by others. I thought to myself that this was something that was happening a lot around us. When we started the forum, we also, when we started New Age Parenting Forum of Chilparco International, we used to talk a lot about this, that let's make the children understand their self-worth. What it is to love yourself first. You should know your own self, your own abilities. Look at yourself in the mirror, say to yourself that I am a wonderful person. I'm a beautiful soul. I'm a peaceful soul. I'm a wonder boy, wonder girl, wonder man, wonder woman, whatever it is, but say something positive to yourself. It's all about giving power to your thoughts. It's all about giving power to whatever you're thinking, because what you think, what your thoughts are, you will attract the same. Isn't it, when we are thinking negative about some kind of a situation, things fall like that, one negative after the other keeps on happening. We start fearing certain things. We start fearing certain people because we are so emotionally controlled by people. That is where I always say that understand yourself, be strong in the mind. It's all about the mind. It's mind games, Don't make your mind so weak that you are easily intimidated by others, influenced by others, or swayed by others. Everyone will have their own points of view. And that's good because we are all diverse people living in a beautiful, diverse world. And we should understand and we should respect and appreciate one another's uniqueness in that way. Because what they're good at, I may not be good. What you're good at, I may not be good at, Dr. Anjum. But this thing remains that at least I'm good in something and you're good in something. So when we collaborate and we put these two unique qualities together, what a beautiful package we'll have. This is what we keep on advocating through the platform, and we only don't focus on a particular group of people. For us, it's the youth voices through Energia International, which is the youth wing. We have the Women Council, which is Feisty Fusion. We also have international conferences, which is the Wireless Connect. We have our magazine. I mean, it's a regular feature. We have Club Rejuvenata, where we do a lot of holistic wellness, which is physical, yoga, meditation. We do Lounge the Rhythm, which is all about creative arts like music, singing, poetry, theater. Theater as in we just say out parts or say out, speeches that are very popular, or you can make those speeches yourself. So there are lots of activities. We also, do a lot of talent rendezvous. So which talent, not only for the youngsters in schools and colleges, but also for the adults. So, basically what we are doing is showing people that they are unique in their own way. There is no room for comparison. There is no room for being judgmental. There is no room for being, for any sort of gaslighting to happen to you. Because once that starts coming in, you start fearing things. You start fearing change. And that is not what we want. I think COVID taught us a lot. COVID brought the global community together so beautifully, because we realized that on this simple platform, Zoom, Google Meet, all these technology brought us together. So though it was a very difficult phase that we all went through, but it made things, it sort of changed things. Everything changed. The way of working changed. From offline we came to online. Then now we're hybrid, so some activities are done online, some are done offline. So it's a beautiful mixture. So life has become beautiful, and this has only happened because we've accepted change. But we accepted change because necessity was the mother of invention. It was COVID times. But have had people started appreciating and accepting change from the word go, and not being stuck in their own rigid ideas about certain things in life, about certain circumstances, about certain people, life wouldn't be so hard. But life becomes hard when we refuse to change, or when we refuse to see the other person's perspective. So this is what we are still working at. It will take some time, but nothing is impossible. So this is what we're doing. We're connecting the global community. We're spreading smiles. We're enhancing self-worth. We're making the world a beautiful place to be in, even though it's in our small way. But I believe that every little drop which we put in the ocean makes the ocean more bountiful, more blessed, more blissful. That's what we're doing. Thank you.
Yeah, and you speak so beautifully, and I know you must be also writing so beautifully, because you're also an author and you're a columnist. So, can you tell about some of the articles which you have written?
So I generally write, I'm also a tarot reader and a psychotherapist. So I write a lot of, since 2000, let's say 2005, when we used to believe a lot in lifestyle magazines and newspapers, of course. Hindustan Times and Times of India had covered my articles on parenting, teenagers, parenting dilemmas, basically, soft skills, basically on personality, communication, and my articles on tarot. So weekly columns, fortnightly columns, monthly tarot columns, then basically helpline columns. So this is what in terms of writing, this is what I've been doing. Plus being an English teacher, an English educator. That's my subject, and I'm very passionate about it. Languages I'm very passionate about, but of course it all started with English. Of course, I have written, co-authored, and edited a lot of books for grade 11 and 12 students. So that is one thing that I've done. I'm working on books, coffee table books at the moment. Let's see how it goes with everyone's blessings, and with the support of God Almighty, I'm sure I'll be able to have that also in front. Because, I am one person who's not too patient. And, writing requires, speaking, you can make me speak from morning till night. But when it comes to writing, you need to be focused, and you need to be sitting without being disturbed, completely distracted from outside activities and all. So that kind of time comes very little to me, going by my schedules. But I'll keep some time to myself to write whatever, all those thoughts that are there in my mind. And I'll definitely have it in the book. But as of now, all my writings keep on happening, for the columns in the national dailies, Times of India and Hindustan Times. Of course, lifestyle magazines, not anymore, because that has become less, but online articles, yes. So ever since the COVID, the lifestyle magazines have stopped. I wrote a lot for Marie Claire, Cosmopolitan, Gloria, Wedding Vows, Ishi, lots of magazines, lots of very known and very popular magazines. And I have a corner, in my library, which is all about all the magazines that I've been writing from 2005, because I kept on collecting those copies, and I thought they'll be there, maybe, for posterity. And holding a magazine, I feel Kindle and all is very good. But I feel that holding a book in your hand and flipping through the pages has a different charm altogether. And that is something which I'm very, very fascinated by. And I would never, ever, give up taking a book in my hand and actually going through the pages. And so the same thing, all my magazines are there, and it's lovely to go through the pages and say, oh, this is what I wrote in the year 2006, and this is what I wrote in the year 2007. So you have all those month-wise magazines, beginning from the very first edition, which I actually wrote about love, you know, and it was a tarot reading, tarot column for love, basically, Valentine's special. I still remember because it's very close to my heart. But then the next one was on parenting. So new age parenting. That is why, so I've been writing a lot like this. And these are the topics that are very, very close to my heart. Personality, leadership, parenting, tarot, global education, comparative education. So these are my articles.
Different things, and that too you have been writing for so many national magazines, and then too you have kept all those magazines. And yes, we can't
Yeah.
deny the charm
Please
and the
come and
holding
visit
of
my home in Delhi.
yeah, sure, sure, sure. And ma'am, you're also a radio host and a
Yes.
show host for talk show. So now I would like to know something about your programs, like what all programs you host.
So talk shows again, it's something like what you're doing. Stories. But I started way back in 2020. So it's I must have done. If you say, I mean, look at my talk shows. I must have done over. I've done 600. So I think talk shows even exceed the 600 number. I've written it down somewhere, and year wise, I have written it. So it's just going on, probably it's touching thousands. So shows where I talk to educators, I talk to media people, I talk to sports stars, I talk to celebrities, television, radio hosts, television hosts, like had the NDTV entertainment head with me. So I talk to those people. At the same time, parents, school principals, directors, youth, uh, senior citizens. So, when they reminisce about their times, historians, people from different fields, it's basically to learn from them, and so that they can give a message, that we can learn from. Like I said, it's life is all about continuous learning. Learning can never stop. We can never say that we know it all. We may know a lot, but there is always something still to be learned. And when you hear something that you have already heard about, whenever you hear it from a third person, fourth person, or fifth person, you will always, if you're actively listening to the person, actively listening, there will always be something new to learn from that person. We've heard about honesty is the best policy so many times. We've heard about that hare and tortoise story, but so many takes, so many different viewpoints have come out of that, every time you listen to it, you will learn something new. I've read certain books so many times. When I read it when I was still a teenager, it had a different meaning for me. When I read it when I was in college, it had a different meaning. When I read it in my 20s and 30s, it had a different meaning, and it has a different meaning now. So this is what I say. So when you're reading the same book also so many times, you always learn something new from it. The Secret, I must have read so many times, but every time I open that book, any page, there is something new that I learn. So, this is what life is all about. You keep on learning, and this is what we do through the talk shows. Radio, again, we take on problems, like, basically as a psychotherapist. So it's like any problems that students have in their classroom, exams, the stressors, basically. It's more like express yourself through de-stress. So any problem that's bothering you and bugging you, please share that with us and we'll have a solution for you. And of course, I have my show, which is focused on my tarot. And that is also aired, that's aired weekly. Earlier there was a daily one, but now because of other commitments, so it's a weekly show now. So that is also aired on radio. Plus, I keep on doing television stints, again as a talk show host, and talking about different places, talking about education, talking about parenting, talking about motivation in different forms, for at different age levels, because every age level needs a different kind of an inspirational dosage. So you cannot, what is good for a 2-year-old may not be good for a 12-year-old, may not be good for a 22-year-old. So you need to change your style of motivating as per the target audience. So this is a challenge, but I enjoy it. I enjoy it.
when we are dealing with different people, we have to be different. And like you were talking about your talk show, like just when I came to know that today I am hosting you, so I just went through some of your videos already. I just saw them, and yes, I know you speak so beautifully. So it's an honor for me to host you, ma'am. And
Thank you
yes,
so much. I mean, it's wonderful. I'm also learning from you, my dear.
yeah, ma'am. And now, can you, ma'am, can you tell something like, yeah, you're the editor in chief of Tennis City magazine, ma'am. Can you tell about
Yeah.
this? Your work as editor.
Yeah. So this is basically Chilparco International's edition. And we cover, so it's an international, um, it has an international flavor because we have articles not only from from India, but we have articles from different parts of the world. uh, Different editions focus on different kind of themes. So for example, one focused on parenting, one focused on youth, one focused on women empowerment, one focused on attitudes of gratitude, one focused on schools and education. So we covered certain schools. Every tenacity edition focuses on something. So, like the latest one was all about youth voices. What do youth from different parts of the world have to say to the parents, to their own friends? Because, we have a lot to say to the youngsters, but they also have a lot to say to us. And that is the refreshing change. We need to also learn from them, because there are certain things when I see the youngsters nowadays, I feel that they are supersonic, super speed, in their thoughts and their ideas. They're really moving fast. We probably maybe we did not have those kinds of, we didn't have technology in such a big way, but then we had our own plus points. We had, it was more direct dealing, it was more listening to people, it was more focused on reading. Now everything is technology, so the reading habit is going away. So we're focusing, one particular edition was focused on reading, for example. So we take those different themes and we base our editions on various themes, and that's how it works.
Different topic for different reasons, especially as you spoke about youth.
Because that's what life is, Dr. Anjum. We have different flavors in life and we cannot restrict ourselves to one particular flavor. We need to enjoy all the flavors in all its many splendid hues. And I think we shouldn't, let ourselves not experience those flavors, because there's some learning in all the different flavors, like I said, and sometimes I always say one thing, that you can go as far as you can see, but when you already go there, you will see even beyond that. So there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. There's never an end point in life. The more you go ahead, the more you keep on walking forward, the more you'll learn. And I always, Robert Frost is always my favorite, and the road not taken. I've always followed that. I've always tried to do something which has been different. I cannot do what has already been done 10,000 times before. For me, it has to be something different. And here, there's this 2, 3 Hindi lines that come to my mind कि भीड़ में सब लोग अच्छे नहीं होते और अच्छे लोगों की भीड़ नहीं होती. So, very few people like to take a challenge, step out of the comfort zone, walk on a path that has hardly been taken by people. And yet, because what happens is when you start doing something different, people will definitely start judging you. But, they will not join you till the time they find out and realize it's popular to join you. So, you have to go through a lot of brickbats. It's not easy when you're doing something different. You have to go through a lot of brickbats. But that is what makes you, that is what tests your tenacity. That's what tests your resilience. If you have that, if you are perseverant and if you're doing, you still keep on moving forward. Sometimes, somewhere, you will definitely have an impact. But the only condition is you know your self-worth. You don't allow yourself to be influenced by others. You don't get affected by what others are saying about you. you keep on listening to your own intuition. Because if you don't listen to your own intuition, and if you listen to 10 people and start pleasing the whole world, you'll never be really able to do something, some kind of a magic. And if you have to do some kind of a magic, you have to sometimes walk alone on the path for some time. Then, of course, like-minded people start joining you. So this is what I believe in.
Winner of so many awards. So can you just tell about some of them?
Well, this is not something that I really like to talk about, because what I really like to talk about is the kind of impact that you make on people. Yeah. It's not awards. Of course, awards, they feel good, because when people start congratulating you for the awards that you receive, for maybe you being an international speaker, keynote speaker, chairperson, education, for your communication skills, for your being a tarot reader, for your being a psychotherapist, in different fields, in different fields, you're being a futuristic educator. The thing, you're being a strong woman, so you have those different women awards coming your way. So because you're a strong woman, what really matters at the end of the day is whether you have really touched a heart. So if I feel that in a crowd, if I have been able to make an impact on, even if it's one person, two people, three people, well, that gives me a lot of satisfaction. If the person remembers and the person connects with me, because we heard you that time, we listened to you, and you made a lot of sense. You were speaking from the heart. Because you were speaking from the heart, it touched us. There was a kind of genuineness in what you said to us that made all the difference. And it sort of changed my life. My students keep on telling me what you said to us. And I'm so proud of the fact that they have become, strong people, strong forces to reckon with in their own rights. So many of them are all grown up now. They have their families. But, it's such a pleasure when you're walking on the road and someone just calls you and says, "Hello, ma'am." Then you realize who's calling you. And then you don't recognize the person, but the person comes to you, touches your feet and says, "Ma'am, don't you remember me? You were the one who taught me." And they'll give you the lines that you used to say. And then, I think that is the kind of impact. If you are impacting people like that, if people's lives become better, if people start feeling more confident after meeting you, after talking to you, when they say to me that, after I met you, my confidence levels have gone from 0 to that high. And I have started speaking myself, and I have started writing myself, or I have started, my own. I mean, I had this particular talent. You made me realize my talent, and I've started working on that. So I think this is the bigger reward, I would say. Of course, this reward has no form. This reward has no form. This reward has a place in the heart. And that's where I keep it. I keep it with me safe and sound. And I treasure this because I have so much of this treasure with me that, I at times feel so blessed. Life has been pretty hard at times, because I have always been, open to change. And when I have always decided on a particular change, life hasn't treated me so well initially. But then, because I stuck to my guns, I somehow found a way. So like they say, God will make a way. But God will make a way if you also take some action. You don't just sit down on your chair in your room, doing nothing, twiddling your thumb, doing nothing, just, wallowing in self-pity, thinking that, why does this thing happen to me? That doesn't work. What works is your resilience, that the fact that you bounced back and you were able to, become a force to reckon with. I mean, if you started impacting people positively, if you have been able to touch their heartstrings in some way, a chord strikes in their heart. And if you have been able to touch them in some way, that is a reward. That is the reward which I talk. It doesn't have a form, Dr. Anjum. I cannot show it to you. I'm just saying this totally from my heart. So all those awards are there, yes, because as the saying goes, you have to sometimes, when people don't really believe you, just 3 4 days back, I was, actually asked that, can you tell us what you have done as an educator? Well, that was a question. I thought to myself that I'm still being asked this question. So, you cannot rest on your past laurels. You need to keep on working. You need to keep on proving yourself, and you need to keep on making an impact. And if you've done that, and if people remember you for the impact that you have made on their lives, that is the biggest reward. It's formless. It's formless. I'm repeating myself here because this is important. It's formless, but it stays with you in your heart forever and ever.
Yes, ma'am. That's really wonderful. Really wonderful. And ma'am, like you, as you were telling now, that you have impacted so many lives. Your students remember
Mm.
you for the lines you must have spoken. So in fact, you are a role model for so many people. You have inspired so many people. But there must have been certainly some people who must have inspired you as
Yes,
well.
of course, of course. I
Who were those
mentioned
people?
when I was talking about my childhood with you, so my granddad, um, he is someone who even taught me, because he was an Arya Samaji, and he taught me all those Sanskrit shlokas. You know, I've forgotten the meanings of some, but I still remember all of. He was the one who said that, he would always say, I want to see some medals. I want to see how you go to the mic, just start, go over there and just start speaking without any script in hand. You just go and start speaking. He was the one who pushed me to do that. And I got married young, very young. I was just 19. And after that, I again thank God, the second person in my life, my husband. He always supported me, whatever I mean, I had my own eccentricities, but he said that, okay, he would always say, if you want someone to speak, please take my wife. She's the one who can do all that work. She's the one who likes the limelight, not me. I would prefer to be behind her, So, like they say, behind every strong woman, there is a strong man. And so my granddad and my husband. So both are doctors, Dr. Devbrat and Dr. Naresh. And after them, I will say my kids, because I'm here telling you about, I could never ever think of this, but my kids, my daughter was in grade 12, my son was in grade 7. And there was this, we used to have magazines, like I told you, I used to write in magazines. And this one particular magazine came, and there was this for a Mrs. India, okay? And they filled up the application form for their mother, me. So they also have made me do something which I never thought that I could do. I actually, it was Glad Rags. It was Glad Rags, Mrs. India. And this was after the year Aditi Gauritrikar became Mrs. India. If you know Aditi Gauritrikar. So she was Mrs. India 2020. I'm talking about 2021. And I was North India winner of Glad Rags, Mrs. India. And it was due to my children. So when I see pictures of myself with Mrs. Maureen Wadia, and I see my children, my husband there, I say, wow. So it was first my grandfather, my grandmother, then my husband and my children. So, they have always, I have always been the one who has been doing, all the talking. So they have always been supportive. So unless you have someone who really supports you so effortlessly and so from the heart, you can never be what you are, So you always need a strong support. And they are my inspiration, because if they don't, if they're not there, if they don't make me feel good about what I'm doing, I'll never feel good myself. And if I don't feel good, I'll never even be able to project this kind of energy into whatever I'm saying and communicating to the entire global community. So when I'm talking like this because I know that I have the support of my family. So when I say my family, it's my husband, my 2 kids, and my grandparents, who are probably still blessing me from the heavens above. I cannot thank them enough, because they were the ones who pushed me on this journey, and my husband ensured that I stay on this journey. So This is it from me.
The challenges that you face, you are getting so a lot of work. So any kind of
Yeah.
challenges that
So challenges I also shared while I was talking about my things, that whenever I started something new or whenever I would, let's say, join a new organization, it was always a challenge, despite the number. So you are talking about awards. I always had this many awards, this many certificates, this many letters. But, that was never enough. It was always, you cannot rest on your past laurels. You always have to prove yourself again. But I was never scared of that. It didn't take me long to do that. But yes, I had to do it. One has to do this. One cannot keep on saying and bragging that I'm this, I'm that. No. Your work should speak. Confidence is always, it's sincere. Insecurity is always loud. So when a person is insecure, and when I met those insecure people, in my journey, all these years, and you meet many people who would obviously be insecure, when they see the kind of work that you're doing, and when they see the kind of, when they see the kind of person you are, because obviously if you're being talked about, Dr. Anjum, it means that there is something to you that you're being talked about. You have something in you, I mean, 10 people talking about one person talking about you to another, two people talking to two more people, three people, it becomes a group. All these people in a group do not like one another, but yet they have ganged up because of you. So you can understand the kind of strength you have. But then they feel insecure because of something powerful that you have, which they don't. So this was what I kept going, and I noticed one thing, that wherever I, bent, for sometimes, I compromised on certain things. That was where my life became miserable. So then I realized that I have to stand up for myself, and I cannot, compromise. I cannot be a people's pleaser, because we're human. We can make mistakes, and that is the beauty of human life, that you work on your imperfections, you learn from the mistakes, and you sort of share those mistakes with others. Don't allow yourself to get, emotionally swayed. Sometimes you get emotionally swayed in your professional life. And that's where you go wrong, because then your self-worth comes under attack. And this is what I would like to say as a message also to whoever is listening to this show of yours, that, don't allow yourself to be used. Because they will then talk about you. But later on, once they have used you, they will just, say, okay, now I've learned the tricks of the trade from her, and now it's okay to move on. So you need to be very careful how you're doing certain things. You need to be careful about your own self-worth. Because if you allow your self-worth to be compromised, your life will become miserable. And then your confidence levels will hit the bottom. Instead of going high, they will come down. So we cannot have that. So one needs to remain strong. One needs to, if I believe in something, I believe in something. If I like something, I like something. 10 people may not like it. And I may be the only one liking it, but it's okay, because this is what I like. They don't like, well, that's their viewpoint. So this is something that we all, this is a strong mindset that we all need to work on. So the times when I had that weak mindset, that was the time which became my challenge, my moment of challenge. So then I talked to myself. It was a lot of self-talk. And that self-talk sort of helped. So, self-talk. And then again, I remembered what my grandfather would say. I remember what my grandmother would say. They would say that you just jump into whatever it is that you're doing. What happens, we'll see what happens. You just get into whatever it is that you want to do. So that's something which is very powerful. It's a little scary, a little risky. But what is life without risks? You need to take risks if you need to grow. You cannot have a fixed mindset. You have to have a growth mindset. And a growth mindset will only come when you take risks, when you accept challenges. I always kept on taking challenges. People would keep on try and test me. They would give me one challenge after the other, and I would try to do it. But then I thought to myself, what about my self-worth? And I have to do something which I like doing. I cannot do something which other people are telling me to do all the time. So these are things that we have to work on ourselves. This is, I would like to say this to everyone. We all need to understand, we need to give ourselves this honest talk from time to time. We need to understand what we like to do, what our abilities are, because I know for myself what I am. Nobody has to tell me. I know what I am. And I will show what I am through my actions. I'm not going to brag about it. So if I brag about them, it means I'm insecure. This is the way I see it. This is my viewpoint. Because the more one talks about it, there is something missing somewhere. But the more you do something, show it through your actions. And the way you do it silently, the more powerful you are, the more confident you are, the more humane you are, and the more, you are a person of this global community. And you will be the one who will be able to sustain yourself in this world. We're talking of sustainable development goals these days. So a person only with this kind of a mindset can sustain. We need to change ourselves from time to time, and we need to do that, keeping our self-interest, working on our self-worth and not letting it go for the toss. So this is what I would say. Thank you.
Like to share some of your future goals.
Well, not really, because I believe in living in the moment. So I go by my instincts. I go by my intuition. What I do next, even I don't know. And I think that is what makes for me, I don't know for others, but for me, that is what makes my life beautiful. What makes it beautiful is that I live for the moment. So now, when I had to talk to you, I didn't know what I was going to talk about, but I thought you'll just ask me something about me and all that. And I didn't know. And I just want to go like that in life, because, when you talk like this, it comes from the heart. It's spontaneous. Similarly with your work, of course, you have something in your mind. Like I said, I might put my thoughts into words and all that. That is all there. But I would just like to take one day at a time. I would like to live for the moment today. So I live for today. I do a good job today. And tomorrow, some idea just clicks in my head and I just work on this. My style is like this, an idea just comes to my mind and I put it into action. I don't keep on planning, talking about it. I just put it into action. That is what. And that is what I'll keep on doing till the time I'm here on planet Earth.
On this talk show. Thank you very much for joining with us and sharing so much about you and so much of your knowledge with us. It was, and even I can say you really speak from the heart. It was so good listening to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anjum. You're a wonderful human being yourself, and always stay this way, because it's once a person reaches a certain level, it's very difficult to stay there forever. And I think with your personality, your aura, you will always be like this. So good wishes to you always. Blessings to you, to IDYM, to Dinul, to Mr. Ravi. He's a wonderful human being, and I love his zeal and his patriotic streak. I think I love the way he says, nation first. And I think that is something so amazing, because it starts from self-love, like I said. So first, you start loving your country, then you start loving the global community. So that is what makes him also very unique and wonderful. And thank you once again. It was lovely being here. I've come to this platform after almost a year, I think. 2022, I was not here, but 21, I think I was here. And now in 23. So it's good to be back. It's good to start. And in fact, it's the first month of the year. So it's lovely. Thank you.